Good day.
Good day. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. This is Joseph here, and I'm here together with Laurel and Amanda. How are you?
Perfect.
Great. Whom do we have the pleasure to speaking with today?
Etham, the one you
Hello,
spoke to before.
Thank you very much for coming here and making yourself available to us. I'll start with some questions that I have, and from my neighbor who's not here with us in a moment. And then if our friends want to ask something. Well, I see Amanda had a question already. Amanda is asking, hi, Etham, where are you from?
Essassani.
Where is Essassani, Etham?
It is 400 light years in the direction of the Orion constellation in another reality.
So if it's in another reality, I suspect that we would not be able to locate it with the technology that we have here on Earth at the moment.
No, it would be invisible to you at this time. In the future, you will have the technology to be able to view our world and many others that exist simultaneously in other realities, such as ours.
Thank you. Etham, when we spoke last, you mentioned you are quasi-physical. Would you please explain to us what that means?
The idea of quasi-physical nature is that which exhibits the idea of physicality and can have the experience of being physical and can create a body, and also shift to the idea of non-physicality and spirit. Because we exist in such a way where we are completely awake to spirit in the idea of all that is, we are able to shift back and forth between the idea of physical and non-physical. So we are able to connect to spirits and our ancestors and our other incarnations because we exhibit and live with the idea of being multidimensional in nature. So we can shift to other realities such as yours.
Thank you. Etham, you mentioned before that the Essassani are the third hybrid race, correct?
Yes.
Who created the Essassani and how long ago?
The beings that you refer to as the Greys. Because they knew that they were dying out in their reality, and they are a version of humans from a reality where they destroyed themselves and had to mutate into what you consider the Greys. They tunneled into realities like yours and realities that were similar to theirs, where they destroyed themselves. They passed on the knowledge and moved to the understanding so they could continue their civilization.
I see. Do any of these, how long ago were the Essassani created by the Greys, by our timeline?
In my understanding of time, 10,000 of your years in the future.
10,000. In the future?
No. We have existed for around 10,000 of your years.
I see. Thank you. There's a question from Amanda here. If you're here now, what is happening for you at this moment in your world? Are you meditating, asleep, or at both places at the same time?
I am on my ship. I am in a state of repose. I am in a state of connection. This interaction is happening for me in more of a blink of an eye. I do not require the idea of fully being here all the time.
I see. Where's your ship located now, Etham?
The North Pole.
North Pole. Do you usually stay there or you'll go around?
If you were able to see us at that time where we are, you would see merely a blob. We come and go as needed. My ship stays stationary and I move to different places simultaneously. Because I am quasi-physical, I do not necessarily require the idea of a ship, but it is necessary for the idea of contact that you are going through at this time.
So the ship serves as some kind of a conduit, a transformer of sorts.
Yes.
I see. Thank you. Are there any other Essassani ships at the moment in our star system or around the Earth?
Yes. I am on a team of Essassani that are helping you with the contact process on your planet. I am a clarifier.
Thank you. Are there any other ships from other beings and other races circling planet Earth at the moment?
Yes. But they all serve a different function than we do. Some are helping with balancing your population. Some are surveying. Each different race that is interacting and helping you through the process at this time is there for a different reason than we are. We are first contact specialists in nature. I am an explorer. I am exploring consciousness through the channel right now and his experience of reality.
Thank you. That makes sense. I've heard from listening to the Bashar and other beings channeled for us that there's a law of free will, which means no interference, that no one is allowed to interfere in what's going on down here. Could you clarify this for me, please?
Yes. You are being given the opportunity to decide whether or not you would like to expand into the stars with us and do it in a safe way, or you are being given the chance to destroy yourselves. It's your choice.
Right. The Greys that destroyed themselves, were any of them left at all?
In my time, no.
I see. Thank you. There's another question from Amanda here. I've had a strange connection to Orion over the past 3 or 4 years, specifically the arrow I see in the constellation. Do you think there could be a connection to Essassani for me, or any message I meant to have from there?
That is not an Essassani. The particular race that you are speaking of, that you have a connection in, is a reptilian race that is part of the ancient Orion energy that you as beings have worked out of that particular energy that would destroy yourselves in your reality.
Could you elaborate on that a little bit with meaning of this, the Orion and destroy yourself?
In the ancient Orion systems, they destroyed themselves. They went through many wars, and eventually they had the idea to take the energy of war and destruction and depression and move it to other systems like yours to be able to work it out in a way. So your understand the idea that I am a counterpart of the channel. In that way, your connection to that particular system is through a counterpart.
Thank you. Etham, would you be able to connect us to Amanda's counterpart?
We are speaking through them right now.
Do they have any messages for Amanda?
One moment. The idea that has carried you forward to this point is no longer necessary to push yourself in the negative direction.
Thank you. Anything else for that?
They are speaking on the idea that you are the transformed state that they experienced in themselves in that lifetime.
Thank you. Amanda typed another question here. Why is it no longer necessary? What changed?
You have moved past the point where it is necessary for you to maintain that state of being.
Thank you. That makes sense. Etham, do we all have counterparts from other dimensions or beings which are counterparts of ours, so to speak?
Yes. You have parallel counterparts on Earth and other time periods, but you also have counterparts in the stars.
Thank you. I've never heard that before. Would you tell me if I have any counterparts on the planet at the moment or any other dimensions or spaces?
You have 5 counterparts that you are connecting to currently, 4 in your past and 1 in your future. You also have 3 particular species that you are connecting to, 2 in the Palladians. You have very particularly strong connections there. You also have a connection to the ancient Orion systems. Remember that even if it's in the past as you determine it or understand it to be, it actually exists simultaneously. It is in your world right now. Everything exists simultaneously. It is not necessarily in the past as you understand it. It is around. It is not necessarily in the past as you understand it, but it is in your, it could be in your future because everything is simultaneous. So all past, all future, all exists simultaneously, just different frequencies, different levels of understanding.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. That's good. Regarding the 3 specific, the 2 Palladians and 1 Orion, are you able to convey any messages from them for me, or generally speaking?
One of the Palladians wishes you to know you are on the path you were meant to be. You are not there. You are not wrong for taking the path that you have taken.
Thank you. Etham, you mentioned the Orions. Now, in our present now culture, the Orions have kind of a bad rep, negative. I don't know if you know that phrase. They're looked upon somewhat negatively, and they're said to be large and violent and live in some caverns, and they are negative in nature. What can you tell me about the Orions, if they're here, what their purpose is, and so on?
The Orion species that you speak of were the ancient past Orions. They are not the current species that lives in that way. They have moved past that understanding, that way of existing at this time, because they have done such things as distribute the negative energy that was so dark in their society to yours and many other systems.
Thank you. Does that mean that a lot of the negative energy that we see here on Earth at this present moment, is it influenced or was handed down to us by the Orions?
Not necessarily. You, from a soul level, knew that it would help work out that particular energy to come to a system like this. There was a planet called Meldek in between the idea of Jupiter and Mars, that destroyed itself. That was the first planet that it existed on. Then, when that planet was destroyed, it moved to Mars. And eventually, that attracted itself to the idea of destruction. And then, when that was finished, which you guys are the finishing of that energy, you are seeing the playing out of that particular type of energy of war on your planet right now through the idea of the wars you are experiencing in Ukraine and Israel.
Yes, I see that. Thank you. Etham, you mentioned before to me, I asked you, what do we need to do to get to a better future, more peaceful and fruitful? And you mentioned, I believe, 10% of people have to be so-called on a wavelength. Where are we now in this trajectory? Are we on this trajectory?
You are still on a similar path and a similar projection of your particular energy. We are moving closer to your planet, closer energetically, because we have shifted, and you all have shifted to a point where there are more people waking up. You see it as a larger collective now, that people speak of being awake, being able to interact with each other in a more positive way, willing to let go of the past.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Are there any physical or quasi-physical Orion beings on the planet Earth right now?
No. There are bases that people move through temporarily, but the beings that you speak of are more on ships. There are some places where there is interactions, but no permanent structures.
Thank you. I've seen photos of renders. I'm not sure if it was a picture of a face on Mars, I believe, with some pyramids. What can you tell me if that's true, and if it is, what is it?
In the ancient civilization that existed on Mars, they had the idea of pyramids that was passed down to them. The idea of the reflection of wanting to connect to the universe at that time, they produced a face. That was their way of connecting to more of all it is, and also more of the universe. That was them saying, I'm open to the universe.
Right. Was that a particular face, someone's face?
No, it was more of a general face.
Okay. Amanda is asking, can we connect with counterparts that are lighter and more focused on peace and healing?
You do all the time.
What would be a good way to connect to them?
They are already interacting with you in your dream spaces, and also delivering the ideas to you that just spring out of nowhere.
Right. When I'll continue this line of thought here. Sorry, Amanda typed something. How can I know I'm connected? That's from Amanda.
Depending on if you're coming from your negative ego, one moment. Your negative ego will generally pull you down and make you believe that you are worthless. The more positive aspect of yourself, the connection to a particular being that resonates with you on a higher frequency, will always come from a loving place. Generally speaking, most of those beings that act in that way are acting as your guides at this time. The idea is to be non-intrusive. The idea is to understand that many of those kind of beings will not necessarily say things outright, but eventually you will have a more open connection to that aspect of yourself and other beings that operate on a higher frequency.
Thank you. On that line of thought, I wanna talk a little bit about thoughts and memory. For example, I get a great idea, and sometimes I have the hunch, maybe it wasn't me, maybe it came to me from the outside. Where are thoughts coming from? Where are ideas coming from?
Generally speaking, those kind of ideas come from your higher mind.
You tell me a little bit about my higher mind. What is it?
It is the non-physical aspect of you. It is the more expanded awareness that you will potentially expand into at some point. It is the thing that maintains and has the connection to all the different versions of you that you've been throughout your entire life. It's that thing that actually tells you to go left, go right, go up, go down, speak to a random person, because you don't know where it's potentially going to take you. It is the person on the mountaintop that can see the whole land that's telling you go left instead of going right.
Right. Does the higher mind has its own personality or name or anything like that?
Generally speaking, your higher mind is the same name as you. But when you reach to the level of that non-physical aspect of yourself, there are no reasons to have names in particular, unless you want to have a name. Because everything is telepathic at that point. Everything is frequency. Everything is vibration. You do not require the idea of a name, much in the way that us and our civilization do not have actual names.
Right.
The name is just there for you to interact with at this time as we move through this process.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. What happens to my higher mind when I die?
You move back up to the level of the oversoul.
Okay, I'm not very familiar of these subjects or topics. Could you describe a little bit the relationship, or what is oversoul and how does it relate to the higher mind?
The oversoul is the larger aspect of you. It is that which is connected to many different incarnations simultaneously. It's that which gives you the connection to the different incarnations that you are connected to. It is that which allows you to connect to a version of you that is 3,000 years in the future. A version of you that's an ET. It is the overarching aspect of you that is non-physical. It is that which all over higher selves actually connect to, that allow you to choose a particular incarnation, to be Amanda, to be Yosef, to be Laurel.
Do we all share one oversoul, or there are several or many of these oversouls?
Roughly on Earth, you have 300,000 different oversouls that connect to all the different people that have ever existed on your planet.
Okay, and we have about 8 billion or 7 billion at the time, so each oversoul will have 20 to 300 entities that it's working with, spawned. More.
Yes.
How many more?
Well, you have the idea of guides, your guardian angels, those people that stand around you and kind of guide you.
And the
Generally,
guides
on average, most humans have around 5 different guides at any given time. They do shift, they do go out and do different things, but they are there around you at all times.
Thank you. And the guides are part of the oversoul?
Yes. They could, at a certain level, be a person that was your father in another lifetime, a neighbor, someone who acts as your best friend, your worst enemy. From that higher level, you understand things differently than you do on the physical plane.
Thank you. Could you tell me, my immediate family being my mother, my father, my 2 sisters, and my daughter, are we all part of the same oversoul?
You're part of the same soul group.
What is a soul group, please?
A soul group is roughly around 80 different souls that travel It can be much more than that, but on average, about 80 different souls that travel from lifetime to lifetime together, that act and play different parts for each other in different lifetimes. In one lifetime, your daughter could have been your mother. In another lifetime, your daughter could be your great-grandmother or your father. You do not necessarily stay as one particular gender or ethnicity in every lifetime. You shift around because that is what works for that particular lifetime, the way you were playing it in that lifetime at that any given moment.
So it's possible that my daughter and I were friends or married, or she was my parent at a different lifetime.
Yes. The channel in front of you,
Yeah.
his oldest niece, was his daughter in the last time that they were together. Much of that actual relationship has carried over to this particular lifetime.
Okay. And how long ago was that relationship when his niece was his mother?
Roughly a little over 100 years ago.
And thank you. And these two, did they have any other incarnations in between that one that we spoke of and Kenneth's life right now?